Right, welcome back. The ISCM World New Music Days Festival has always been a celebrated event in contemporary music, and the upcoming edition in 2023 promises to be an experience for music enthusiasts in South Africa. As an annual event organized by the International Society for Contemporary Music, this festival has a rich history of showcasing groundbreaking compositions and pushing the boundaries of musical expression. To tell us more about what to expect this year, we are now joined by the event organizer, Diale Mabitsela, and one of the performers, Nonku Phiri. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Perhaps to start by finding out what inspired the decision to host this festival in South Africa.
Well, I guess the credit is not really ours. So the ISCM, a member of the ISCM ExCom, had the idea of finally bringing the festival to Africa. And so he spoke to the artistic director, who's also a member of the board of New Music Essays. New Music Essays is the organization that actually is running the festival. I'm the chairman of that. But he spoke to him, his name's Lucas Ligeti. He said to him, listen, we'd like to bring the festival to Africa, and we'd also like to, extend the invitation for you to be the person who is the artistic director. And, obviously, we thought about the challenges that we're currently facing in our country, continent-wide, and it's like, oh, is that really possible, But we did a kind of a preliminary investigation with the team, and we thought, you know what, let's bite our bottom lip and let's try and get this done, and here we are today. So the idea came from the ICM themselves, but we are very much enthusiastic about it, and we took it, and now we're running with it. And so, yeah, that's where the idea came from. I guess another thing to say is that, it's supposed to be the International Society for Contemporary Music. It's supposed to be the World New Music Days Festival. And to miss out such a big part of the world, of the international community, being Africa, for, this festival's been running for 100 years now, it felt like the right time to bring it to African soil.
Yeah, so Diale, take us through some of the unique features as well as the highlights of this year's festival.
So I would say unique, most for I guess ordinary viewers, ordinary person on the street. Most of what you will encounter in the festival is unique, is different, is groundbreaking, is innovative. As you mentioned in the intro promo, the whole point of new music is that we're searching for those boundaries. We're trying to further the composition and creation of music. It began more or less within the world of Western classical music, so the Bachs, the Mozarts, etc. Towards the end of the 19th century, the composers at the time were like, we're looking for new musical languages, new musical forms of expression, and so they created all these different ways of coming up with this. From how you play the instruments. You have people who turning the violin bow. People know, I think, the violin a little bit. You play it with the bow. You turn it around and actually start hitting the strings with it. It makes different kinds of sounds. Like, can we incorporate this into our pieces? Some had science, maths backgrounds as well as musical backgrounds, and were creating all sorts of formulas to determine the kinds of notes they'll use in the pieces. And there's so many different ways in which they were, should I say, pushing the boundaries. So a lot of what you'll hear on this festival is unique, is different. Very difficult to say exactly what you would find unique, but a lot of what you'll hear is going to be a different experience, an enriching experience.
Yeah, and I want us to bring in Nonku now. These are such exciting times, I must say. And what does it feel like to be performing in this particular edition of the festival as the daughter of the late Ray Phiri?
I'm very honoured. We're both on the board. So I think it's been quite a nice experience. And it's also exposed me to a whole lot of musicians and a whole lot of genres that I probably wouldn't have necessarily been, accustomed to. And I just think it's just been really great being able to showcase, I suppose, something very different. I had my show last night, and I had collaborated with a really, really amazing musician by the name of Malcolm Gianni. who I previously worked with on the SABC project, as well as a producer from the UK who's based here, called Jumping Backslash. So there's been a lot of like fusion projects. I think today is also going to have quite a nice, I suppose, like, what would you call it, like lineup as well, of artists from all over the continent. So just being able to, I suppose, cross-pollinate over the last couple of months between here and the festival that we had in Cologne has been quite a nice experience.
Yeah, and I want us, maybe if you can share some insights with us on the choice of songs that you decided to go with, and was there some sort of significance behind it all?
Yes, I think yesterday was very much based on mixing, I suppose, music that people who would listen to my music knew. We also had a lot of like surprises, and of course we had some music from this Puzzle project, which was based off the Uprise documentary that came out in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But our choice was just based on making sure there was enough familiar material, a lot of, I suppose, reinterpretations as well, and a lot of unreleased music as well was what we shared last night. Yeah.
And of course, Diale, let's speak about some of the challenges that you faced when it comes to organizing such an event.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge is obviously, largely to do with the organizational process. The first thing is that we are a PBO, so we're not for profit. So sourcing the funding was a major challenge. We largely went the route of in-kind support. We had several people and institutions help and support our cause. For example, last night we had the opening concert, which was an orchestral concert, and then Mzansi Philharmonic Orchestra, National Orchestra, performed in the concert, but also helps to subsidize the performance itself. So, we've had in-kind support like that. We've had support from bodies like the Oppenheimer Memorial Trust, the Rupert Foundation, Goethe Institute, and all the venues, all the ensembles. Finding the right people to speak to at the right time when they were in a position to help us was a challenge. The other challenge, I guess, has to do with the fact that the landscape, the artistic landscape in South Africa, it has been going through some challenges, especially COVID would have exacerbated that. Originally we were supposed to have the festival, I think, 2022, which would have been last year, and we got approval from the ISCM to move it a year later, which aligned very nicely with the fact that the first World New Music Days Festival was in 1923, so it's exactly 100 years. It's the Centennial Celebration Festival that we're therefore hosting. And so, just all of the kinds of practical issues that we find with running arts organizations, artistic events in South Africa. These things there were challenges for us, but in the end we overcame them, so we're very pleased about that.
Right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today, and we wish you all the best with the festival. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, that was the festival organizer, Diale Mabitsela, and musician Nonku Phiri talking to us about this year's WNMD 2023.